I was going to make as a joke, get your gag reflexes ready, but we've got a 1 hour hard-ish. We'll see if I can get Ed to stay a few minutes longer, but we've got a 1 hour out. So I don't want to waste any intro time with something that will make you all gag. Ed Dowd, people, we had to reboot a phone and get everything going here. Barnes is in the back. We're not going to last long on YouTube. We're going to maybe do 5 or 10 minutes on YouTube, end it on YouTube, and go over to Rumble or local. So I'll give you all those links. They're there. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Barnes first. Ed, I'm bringing in 2 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to go on the bottom so that when I bring up comments like such, it'll go over my face. Ed, Mr. Dowd, I've been watching you all day. You don't know it, but I've watched about 6 hours of your, maybe a little less, like 4 hours of interviews. I know everything except for childhood upbringing, how many siblings you had, and what your parents did. Jokes aside, thank you for being here. This is going to be amazing. Robert, how goes the battle, sir?
Good.
Ed, no joke. Can I ask you? I won't. We don't have that much time, so I won't spend too much time delving into your childhood. But one thing I couldn't figure out, like early upbringing, siblings, what your parents did, how you became to be an adult that questioned everything.
Irish Catholic, Boston, 100% Irish Catholic American. My parents came out of Dorchester. Well, my parents' came out of Dorchester. Then they moved to the suburbs. My dad was an insurance executive. That might mean something to people. Might delve into the insurance industry. He was eventually became head of the real estate department of John Hancock before it was sold to Manulife. My mom was a real estate agent, and they put me through Notre Dame. And I had 2 brothers, younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 3.
Very cool.
How long were you at BlackRock?
I was at BlackRock for 10 years, from 2002 to 2012. And interestingly enough, whatever BlackRock's become, I have no idea. And all my friends and former colleagues are not there, so I don't even have a call into the firm to figure out what's going on.
I was going to say, if anyone's going to accuse you of being controlled opposition, bought and paid for, whatever, you worked for what has become, I think, on the hierarchy of satanic, number 3. You're number 3. You got the WEF and then the UN maybe that beats you out for 1 and 2, or BlackRock out for 1 and 2. But this is something that people get fixated on. Credentials. Because we're going to talk about the banking crisis, your doom and gloom predictions for the future, and how you got into doing what you're doing for COVID. But people want credentials. If you're not a doctor, they accuse you of not being a doctor. If you're a doctor, they accuse you of not being the right one. If you're a cardiologist, they accuse you of being a quack cardiologist. What are your credentials for everyone to assess accordingly?
Sure. I'm a 30-year Wall Street professional. I'm unique in that I've experience in 2 different verticals, fixed income and equities. Many people stay in their silos their whole career. So I started off in the early 90s, 1990 at HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. I was an institutional bond salesman in my early 20s. And that meant I had a $10,000 a month expense account to go take out wine and dine people and sell them bonds. And I learned, and that was a great job as a young man, making no mistakes about it. I basically learned the interest rate markets, the credit markets, the mortgages were just born then, esoteric collateralized mortgage obligations. I saw fraud. My first taste of fraud was Orange County. That was a county in California that went bust when they were called step-up bonds. Very safe at the time. They were agency bonds that stepped up if interest rates went up. And guess what? Interest rates went up, and this guy got kicked out of his office, and he was doing things he shouldn't have been doing. So I saw fraud. I know how the currency markets work. I know how the overnight markets work. Then I went back to business school at Indiana University, and then I went to DLJ, Donaldson, Luckin, and Jenrette, which is an investment bank that was bought by Credit Suisse years ago. It was the house that research built. It was built upon equity research. I was electric utility research analyst for 2 years, from 1997 to 99. Down the hall from me were the internet fellows, and boy, did I see some nonsense go on there. So I saw fraud go on there. That was the process known as due diligence. It was dispensed with, and a lot of bombs were IPO'd, initial public offerings. I went up to Boston to become a technology analyst in what's called the buy side at Independence Investments. And because of again, I'm a student of history, and I just know that bubbles happen and things. I'm a big believer in cycles and the natural order of things. And I knew this was a euphoria, even though I was a young guy. and I saw what was going on at DLJ, and I steered my firm clear of a lot of disasters. I parlayed that reputation in Boston into a job at BlackRock as a portfolio manager, co-managing a $2 billion equity growth fund that we grew to $14 billion over 10 years. And again, saw the housing crisis coming. I have a good nose for nonsense, and because my experience in fixed income in the equity markets, I was able to know what was coming down the pike, and did the best job we could of not losing as much money as everyone else. We were long, what's called long only, meaning we couldn't short anything, but we lost less money than everybody else. And then I left BlackRock in 2012 and moved to Maui with my now ex-wife and started a couple businesses. And then, COVID hit, and then I smelled BS all over the place. And, somehow through a series of coincidences that I call God and praying to God, I'm using my skill set of pattern recognition and analyzing trends to track, unfortunately, excess death, disabilities, and injuries. And here I am. I've written a book, Cause Unknown, The Epidemic of Sudden Death in 21 and 22. This journey's been amazing. The number of people I've met who have rallied around me and the team I've built behind me. I'm the face of a team. We have a firm called Finance Technologies that's doing all its work pro bono at the moment. It's 2 PhD physicists, Carlos and Yuri. They're in Portugal. We've added to the team 2 data scientists. We just onboarded another physicist, and we have 2 editors. This is an amazing team. I've had whistleblowers from the insurance industry. Josh Sterling, who did work with me early on, is doing his own thing with the insurance industry, but he helped me analyze the insurance company. So this has been an amazing journey. Dr. Malone got me my first interview on Bannon's War Room, and here I am. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and we're discovering more and more death, destruction, what have you. It's grim, but there's hope on the other side. From every great evil comes a great good, and we all know that we're winning. And after the tribulations that are before us, a new system will be born. I don't know what that is yet, but I hope to be a part of it.
What was it about the COVID aspect from the get-go that triggered your suspicions?
So for me, even before the vaccine, like everyone else, I was frightened, but I was frightened before everyone else because I'm a Wall Street guy and I pride myself in having info before everyone else. So on Maui, I saw it coming 6 weeks before the media made us aware of it. So I was prepared. I went to Costco 6 weeks before all my peers. I was not engaging in hugs. I was worried. I bought into the nonsense. Then it hit. Then what started to unfold quickly to me became reason for suspicion. And once I realized the virus wasn't as deadly as it was being touted to be, I quickly turned to suspicion. And that happened pretty quick. April 3rd or April 5th. It's one of those 2 dates of 2020. I saw James Bullard, Federal Reserve President, on Face the Nation, talking about the economy and how we're going to open up the economy with all the fear. And he started speaking about something that really just shocked me. He said, well, the good news is we have technology now, surveillance technologies. We could issue immunity badges and people could test every day to go to work. And I just said to myself, immunity badges, like Nazi Germany? And that my mind immediately went to vaccine passports. And we were tracking a sovereign global debt collapse. Those of us on Wall Street for years were waiting for this, we call it the everything bubble, to end. And in 2019, in the fall of 2019, it looked like it was going to fall apart. There was an overnight lending crisis. Repo rates shot up. It looked like everything was about to become unglued. Then, luckily for the central banks and politicians, COVID hit, and they were able to print unprecedented amounts of money, grab some power. They can buy corporate bonds when they want to now, and the politicians opened the spigots of money. So this infusion of money, 65% money supply growth in 1 year, the largest ever on record, kicked the can down the road for a couple more years. But here we are, and it's falling apart again. And I can get into that and why I say that.
Oh, and we're going to, and I want to end this now on YouTube because they don't deserve to hear this. I say it's a joke, people, but we're going to end this because we're going to get into some stuff that, YouTube might not want us to talk about. Ending on YouTube, people, the link to Rumble is there. Go to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. We're going to carry this on because I got one question before you get into that, and it's going to be this for anyone watching on YouTube. You said you saw 3 frauds before: the housing bubble, the .com bubble. There was a third one, and
the third one was Orange County. It was fixed income fraud, and there was a couple of frauds. Kidder Peabody blew up. There was a gentleman who hid some trades in his desk. This is when you could still do paper trades, he hid trades in his desk.
So I want to not analogize those, but what you saw in those 3 that you saw in the COVID one, ending on YouTube, nothing changes on our end, people. And